This video is for September 1st, Friday, for those of you that were out. So the first thing we did was the lesson 1.1 quiz, and on this quiz you get to pick. So you're going to do either number 1 or number 2, number 3 or number 4, number 5 or number 6, 7 or 8, and then 9 or 10. And then if you want to do extras, I do give bonus points if you want to do more than that. And then down here, here's your word bank. For the first two, we've got real number, whole number, exponent, and square root. Okay, so the lesson 1.2 homework. I'm going to do the odds with you guys, and then you will be responsible for doing the evens. So number 1, what is the name of a number that cannot be expressed as a ratio of two integers or as a repeating or terminating decimal? What's that the definition for? We talked about it yesterday. A number that cannot be written as a terminating or repeating decimal. All right, so this is an irrational number. All right, the next section, write all the names that apply to each number. So how would you classify 7/8? And it's just rational. Okay, negative 18/6. Simplify that for me and tell me what you get. Okay, so if you take this and you stick it in your calculator, negative 18 divided by 6, you're going to get a negative 3. So what type of number is that? It's an integer, and what else? And it's rational, guys. All integers are also rational. All right, label each statement as true or false. All right, number 7, all whole numbers are rational. True or false? True. Remember your Venn diagram. That whole number circle is included inside, completely inside that rational number circle. All right, then number 9. We're going to identify the set of numbers that would best describe the situation. What types of numbers would I use? So 9 says the height of a bird as it descends to land on the ground. So what type of numbers would I use? I could use, well, would I use negatives? Could I say that the bird is negative 3 feet off the ground? Okay, so I wouldn't use negatives. So then what does that mean? What type of numbers? I'd use whole numbers, but if they're not negative, they're, okay, so positive. All right, so can I only say the bird is 3 feet off the ground, or can I say the bird is 3.5 feet? So what type of number is 3.5? Okay, so this would be positive, rational numbers. And then number 10, if you've never played mini golf or golf, this one's kind of tricky. This one says the scores of a group of golfers. Who can tell me how you score golf? Is your score only positive? Your scores can be negative. So what types of numbers are positives and negatives? Integers, because you can't score 8.5 in golf, right? You're going to score an 8 or you're going to score a negative 8. So this one's integers. So that leaves you with just 4 to do on your own. So make sure you take care of that. 2, 4, 6, and 8. On 4, you better simplify it first. All right, the last page we're going to do together is the 1.3 guided practice. So remember in like 3rd and 4th grade when we compared the numbers and we did like alligator eats the big, 3 is less than 4. You remember all that? Same game. And it's not tricky. I know those numbers you're looking at going, holy cow. All right, so in your calculator, all you do is type them in. So our first number here is the square root of 3 plus 2. I'm going to move this over so you can kind of see here. All right, so we put in the square root, so you hit Control X squared, and then type in your 3. But you cannot just go plus 2. Do you see how that square root line goes all the way over it? Does that look like this? Does that square root sign go all the way over this? No. Okay, so let me show you what happens. It gives me the square root of 5. All right, here's what you need to do. So control x squared, and then you put your 3 in there, and then your little control pad in the middle, press the right side of it, and now you can tell when you hit plus 2, do you see how it's no longer underneath the square root sign? You need to be very careful and make sure that you're getting out from underneath that. So when you push enter now, okay, it gives me that. So now I have to go control enter. I get a completely different number. Okay? So my advice on these is to turn them into decimals. Put them in your calculator, turn them into decimals. So go ahead and do this one for me. The square root of 3 plus 3. Okay, so this one, when you put it in your calculator, is 4.73. So which one's bigger? This one, right? So alligator eats the big. So what I want you to do before we go any further, convert all of these to decimals, and then we'll compare, okay? So now that we've converted everything to a decimal, let's compare here. So on number 2, which one's bigger? Okay, so 6 plus the square root of 5, so alligator eats the big. All right, on number 3, which one's bigger? Okay, so the square root of 17 minus 3. And then on number 4, which one is bigger? All right, so the square root of 7 plus 2. All right, so on this next section, we're going to put the numbers in order from least to greatest. From least to greatest. So again, first thing we want to do is make them all decimals. So what is the square root of 3? Good. Okay, 2 pi. All right, so your calculator has a pi button. Okay. So to do pi, if you see this button right here, down here at the very bottom, can everybody see that? If you click that, then this little screen pops up, and you just hit enter. It's already on pi, and it puts the pi symbol in there for you. Okay? All right, so we want to do 2 and then pi. Oh, so now I have to do control enter because mine's leaving it that way. So 6.28. All right, so least to greatest. Which one goes first? Least to greatest. So 1.5. Then what comes next? Okay, the square root of 3. Leave it in its original form. And then finally, what comes last? 2 pi. All right, we need to graph on a number line. You guys are still really, really struggling with this. So where would 1.5 go on this number line? On 1.5. Easy peasy. Make sure that you still label it yourself and that you put a dot there. Labeling on a number line does not mean just circling the 1.5. I've been seeing that. All right, where would the square root of 3 go? Almost to the 2, so in between here. Guys, I'm not picky. You don't have to have it exactly. But again, make sure you're labeling it with the original, the square root of 3. All right, and then 2 pi, where would that one go? Which side of 6? To the left or to the right? To the right. So that would be 2 pi. So really watch where you're putting those marks. All right, number 7. Make all of these decimals for me. 1 3/4. I think some of you guys are still struggling with these. We call this walk around Texas. So what you would do is 1 times 4. So 1 times 4 plus 3. And then you put it over the same thing. So if a 4 is on the bottom, a 4 stays on the bottom. So what does that come out to be? Okay, 7/4, and then you can put that in your calculator. Okay, so the square root of 2 is 1.41. 1.85 is already a decimal. What is 16/10 or 16 tenths? Okay, And then 1 3/4. All right, so again, we're ordering from least to greatest. So which one is the least? Woo? 1.41. So the square root of 2. Okay, what comes next? What? 1.6. So 16/10. Okay, now what? 1 3/4. And then 1.85. Okay, again, original form. All right, so where would the square root of 2 go? Okay, when you say in front of, to the left or to the right? To the right, okay. Because two different people may take in front of two different ways. All right, 16/10, where does that one go? Right there. Make sure you label it. 1 3/4. Good. Okay, and then 1.85. Okay. All right. Last two. 4 hikers have found the perimeter of a forest using different methods. Order their calculations from greatest to least. Make these all decimals for me first, okay? Okay, so what is the square root of 17? 2.12. All right, 1 plus pi over 2. Good, you figured out how to get it in there. All right, 12/5. Okay, now, which one comes first? No, look at your instructions. Greatest to least. Okay, 1 plus pi over 2. Okay, then? Okay, then? 12 over 5. And then finally, the square root of 17 minus 2. All right, last one. Percy wants to make a cake for his friend's birthday. List the cake's ingredients in descending order. What does descending mean? Going down. So I start with greatest. Okay? This is greatest to least. All right, so make all these decimals for me. Okay, so what is 2/3 as a decimal? Okay, so it repeats. All right, 1 1/2, 2 1/2, 3/4. All right, so which one comes first? 2 1/2. Good. All right. 1 1/2. Okay. 3/4. And then finally, 2/3.